Have you ever had a build for Destiny 2 PvP but were struggling in a particular game? Maybe you weren't sure whether it's the build that's holding you back or if you're just not playing at your best. Well, as someone who has been forcefully subjected to some of the worst builds in Destiny, and thanks to my loving support of my stream chat and subscribers, today I will play and rate your builds. My rating system is very straightforward. I will rate each of your builds based on their offense, defense, versatility, survivability, speed, and consistency, which gives a good array of how a build might operate, as well as rating it for F to S for flavor and viability, which are essentially at opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to a build. We're gonna jump straight into it here. We've got a lot of different builds from Hunter, Warlock, and Titan. Starting off, we have TKG Wildfire with a Vesper of Radius, Trinity Ghoul, and the Attunement of Elements Arc Lock. The Attunement of Elements recently got a hefty buff, which makes it arguably one of the best subclasses in the game. Unfortunately, Vesper of Radius is absolute dog crap. Vesper of Radius, besides looking so good, man, these things look good, but they just are just awful. They are just awful in PvP. There is never a really good time where you're thinking to yourself, you know what I wish I could do? I wish I could hurt somebody with my Rift. Even the Stasis Warlock, who has the ability to basically guarantee a kill if you can hit somebody with your Freeze Rift, don't see it run too often, and the people that are good at it aren't running Vesper of Radius because it's just not worth it. Regardless, Trinity Ghoul really surprised me. I had a pretty negative opinion of Trinity Ghoul for the longest time because it just felt like it was just shy of being amazing. And I think because of the Arc Souls with this Trinity Ghoul, it was very devastating. I was able to consistently get one-shots, so much so that I was like vocally confused on the stream, like, where is this damage coming from? Trinity Ghoul was just punching everybody in the mouth, and I loved it. It was a fantastic build to start ourselves off with. Offense, 6, defense, 8, versatility, 7, survivability, 5, speed, 6, consistency, 7, flavor, B+, viability, B+. Arguably, these should be higher. I really need to experiment with this just a little bit more, so maybe you can give it some experimentation on your own. Let's roll on to a Hunter build that promises the ability to maintain 100% invisibility uptime. X-Ray 437 really piqued my interest when he suggested Graviton Forfeit, which has recently received a handful of buffs, 100 strength, and a new mod for the stasis armor called Double Melee Kickstart, which allows you to get a little bit of your melee energy back when your melee energy is completely depleted. This on Bottom Tree Night Stalker with a rapid firing bow and a Null Composure, so another rapid fire weapon, was the strangest build I have seen in a while. The cool thing was that right away I could see what X-Ray was going for, and he wasn't lying. You can basically maintain 100% uptime on your melee, which means 100% uptime on your invisibility. It was very surprising. On top of this, what makes the Bottom Tree very valuable as a overall team support tool is that you can get the Heart of the Pack buff, which allows you to increase not only your resilience, not only your mobility, but also your recovery, meaning that you could just for free buff all of these stats because that timer is just a little bit longer than your invisibility and melee cooldown timer. So imagine you get a team all stacked up, get them invis, run in there with a 5 stack of these perk, you're gonna clean house. Offense, 7, defense, 7, versatility, 7, survivability, 6, speed, 5, consistency, 6, flavor. I'm going to give a very cautiously optimistic S tier on the flavor. I went back and forth on this, but the ability to maintain 100% invisibility with stacking those buffs is so unique and so interesting. So congratulations, X-Ray. You did it. This is really surprising. And viability, B+. I don't think that bow and fusion go together too terribly well. I think you could do some more crazy stuff, especially if you've seen our last video talking about how good bows can actually be. Nevertheless, it was pretty surprising. Holy Dante 14 is a Patreon supporter who wanted me to experiment a little bit more with the Getaway Artist. Specifically, he wanted me to run this with an Arctic Haze with Demolitionist and the Traveler's Chosen. Unfortunately, I didn't have an Arctic Haze with Demolitionist, but I did have this 450 auto which had Wellspring, which is arguably a little bit better, and Traveler's Chosen, of course, already has some clear synergy. By the way, if you want to be able to squeeze your way into my DMs to be able to get your idea to me directly, and don't want to have to compete with the over hundreds of comments that come into the YouTube comment section, it keeps the channel up and running, and I really do appreciate it. But let's talk about this build. There was a very quiet and secret buff to the Getaway Artist, which allows it to trigger the Sentient Arc Souls, which is the more powerful 5-burst Arc Souls on normal rifts now in PvP, meaning if you're running the Getaway Artist, your Arc Souls will always be better. And the powerful Arc Souls are devastating. They are really good at maintaining a high damage profile, making this build, which is arguably kind of lackluster in terms of its range department and somewhat inconsistent in its damage department, really just well-rounded as a whole. It really rounds everything out beautifully. Of course, Bottom Tree Arclock is a fantastic just subclass in general because you get that boost in speed with the new Electrostatic Surge, and the super is a really solid shutdown tool. Offense 6, defense 8, versatility 5, survivability 6, speed 6, consistency 8, flavor A, viability B. All in all, pretty solid. I think we could do a couple more things to polish this up a little bit more, maybe even go a little bit even crazier with this idea, but like I said, pretty good. So what if you wanted to take the previous idea of a bow and a fusion and decided to just make it ridiculously slow and painful? Well, that's basically what N suggested to us. N wanted us to run a Draconis, which is the new high-impact solar fusion rifle, high recovery intellect on the not too great Sanguine's Alchemy. He informed us that he wanted us to run with a bow, so I decided to try something with the Wish Ender, which I immediately regretted. The Wish Ender and the Draconis are so painfully slow with one another, it felt like I had to get a permit from the city to actually shoot at anything. Every single thing I wanted to do required so much planning and forethought that most of the time, by the time I actually was able to deal damage to the target, I was probably dead. The unfortunate part about Wish Ender is, despite it giving you free wall hacks, which is cool, the damage profile is just shy of being great. It only will work within a team shot setting, which we did have some people playing with us from the stream, so the team shot was okay, but if I was ever caught out and alone, oh man, were they gonna slap both my left and my right cheeks, both on my face and on my ass every single time. It was a struggle, but there was one silver lining, one saving grace to this build, and that was that when you are standing in a well, the Wish Ender will just slap everything back. Let's do this. Ha, you fool! I cannot be frozen. I am in a well. What is happening? It still doesn't quite save this mess of a build. It was still pretty entertaining. Offense 2, defense 4, versatility 4, survivability 6, speed 4, consistency 4, flavor C, viability C-. It's unique, but it's not very synergistic. And now for our featured build for this week. Grabbing from the comment section, I was looking for something that caught my interest as somebody who was interested in getting into a little bit more of the Titan mindset. And besides punching stuff, nothing says Titan to me more than explosions. Braden understood this, and he wanted us to run Middle Tree Sentinel, a magnetic grenade with Heart of Inmost Light and Telesto, making purple explosions happen absolutely everywhere. Once I got into this, I was a little bit concerned as to how this was gonna end up working out, and I decided to run this with a Chroma Rush with Wellspring, as it would allow me to get my abilities back faster on top of the Heart of Inmost Light, just generally keeping my abilities up. The Heart of Inmost Light will allow your magnetic grenades to one-shot, and if you can get a group of them because of Middle Tree Sentinel's Spread the Void ability, this can make it so that you can get a big group of enemies killed all at once. I wasn't fortunate enough to get one of those to happen, but it still is an option that is there. All in all, it was surprisingly effective and fun. I went into this with kind of a low expectations because I thought that this would just be kind of a for fun build. Not really the most effective, but I kind of like did that thing with your face when you're like genuinely caught off guard by how good something is, you know the one? If you're a Titan looking to get away from the Dune Marcher's hand cannon shotgun meta, consider giving this a try as it was pretty damn effective. Offense 5, defense 8, versatility 5, survivability 7, speed 5, consistency 6, flavor B+, viability B-. My only concern for this is that I'm not entirely certain how well this would survive in a really fast-paced team, but all in all, you could do a lot worse than Bs. I had a lot of fun doing this. Make sure that you subscribe and leave a comment down below if you want a chance at making it your way into one of these videos. We love to encourage the community here. Let me know if you found anything interesting with this, as I might actually begin experimenting a little bit more. There was a lot of builds in here that I found really interesting. But regardless, bless your faces and deuces. Bruh, imagine getting clipped by Sir D when you're trying to make a video.